John Scott here with Vic Carucci, Jonathan Acosta. We're not really going to get too much into the game. The Bills win it 35-8 over the Jets, who I think we all could agree, I'll speak for us. They amazingly are worse than you possibly could have imagined by seeing things earlier in the season in New York or any of that stuff.
They lived down the expectations.
What a terrible football team. And that's understated. They had some of their backups in. I mean, holy smokes, the Bills' backups, who are better, we knew that, but just it made it even easier to make the focus during the game on the stadium and the celebration, because there was never a doubt that the home team was going to close this building with a win. We certainly want to start with and really spend a lot of our time on the finality of this building, 53 years, Highmark Stadium. All but certainly the Bills are the 6th seed, so it's not impossible that they'll host a playoff game, but highly unlikely here. Let's start from the beginning. We all drove in separately, have our routines and things like that.
Yep.
What was it like for you today, especially the seasoned veteran, maybe more so than anyone that watched this game here today in this building? What was it like for you? How were you kind of preparing yourself and soaking things in early?
In the weeks or days leading up to this, it was hitting me harder and harder, the emotion of it all, the reality that, this place is going to be done. And I developed what, I would easily call a friendship with this place, because it played a part, such a significant part in my personal life, just given how much time I spent around here through the course of 43 years. 1982 was when I took the job at the Buffalo News to cover the Bills. And, that is a life-changing event. My wife and I moving up from New Jersey. We were originally from central New York, but I was working down in New Jersey covering the Philadelphia Eagles. And when I got the opportunity to come to Buffalo to be a little closer to our respective families, that in itself was a big deal. I never envisioned, you don't think when you take a job, okay, how long am I going to be on this thing or doing it? And to even believe that I'm still here doing this, even though I've left the Buffalo News, retired, and sort of, I don't know what my status is. I call it I don't know. I'm working with you guys, which is great. But it hit me that this place, this building, this field, how many practices, because that's where they used to practice, that I attend. And the administration building served, when it was here, served as also had a section for the media, was the media room. So there was nothing across the street, no field house, no offices there. It was all here. And that meant we were all here. So it wasn't just going to the games, guys. It was spending time in there. It was sharing a push button dial phone with the rest of the media, that because we didn't have cell phones, and you took your turns and made calls at night to to say goodnight to my girls, who were little girls then. Now they've got families of their own, because when I'd get home from this place, they were already in bed. And but spending time with Bill Polian, the general manager, up on the 3rd floor, watching tape with him, just learning from the master, the Hall of Famer. He would take the time to do that, not often, but occasionally. And those are the things that stand out. And the games themselves, because you look down at the field and you remember where certain plays happen in the big moments, like 51-3, the AFC Championship game, the comeback game led by Frank Reich. There were so many of those games that they kind of meshed together. To me, it was more about the experience of being in the place, just like you consider a home away from home. That's what this was for me. I tried to count the hours and whatever. It got scary, because chunks of your life are spent in one place, but no regrets, man. I've loved every second of it, just as watching these fans sit here and enjoy it and savor it, not leaving when the game was over. And I got choked up.
You asked what the drive-in was like. The drive-in felt like the drive-in to any other game, but I knew coming into this that it wasn't, and I had gotten a better appreciation for that, I think, as the week had gone on, because I arrived here in 2023, so obviously my experience here nowhere near as much as Vic or even yours, John, but even just being here for 3 seasons, I feel like I've gotten to witness some special things. My first NFL playoff game that I've covered was the one against Pittsburgh. Josh Allen breaks off, I think, the longest touchdown run by a Bills quarterback in playoff history, right? the following season, the win against the Ravens right here. I shoot the games on the sideline. Mark Andrews drops that pass less than 15 feet in front of me right here in this end zone, right? Here for the Baltimore season opener this year, which I think at any level of football that I've covered is one of the most incredible games that I've had the privilege to be in person for. So a lot of good memories here too. But even with all of that, it takes, I think, a certain amount of time to really have the appreciation for what a place means to a region. And as this week sort of evolved, I think you start to hear more of the stories of everyone who's been here for however long they've been here, their memories, their traditions, them recalling the times that they've been inside the stadium. And even Sean McDermott, who is not originally from Western New York, but is really a Western New Yorker now, with how long he's been coaching this team, how much he's ingrained himself with this community, talking about even coming here Saturday night to have some time to himself and enjoy this stadium, right? So you hear all of those things, even if you haven't been here that long like myself to really grasp what it means, those stories help you grasp what it means. So once I arrived here and finally started coming to the stadium, and I saw the workers taking pictures on their phones, and all of the fans, the first thing they do is get to their seat and take pictures on their phones. That doesn't take very long to really see with your own eyes what it means to everyone here.
And you know, practically speaking, I know they can't make this like Graceland, like a museum or something, but I found myself, and we talked about it before the game, leaving the press box after getting in and taking a lap, walking around the entire place and just kind of looking at the fans and listening to their different conversations and feeling a vibe of nostalgia. It was, I don't, you know, the crowd, it wasn't the fired up crowd like feeling tense, like something was on the line. No, it felt like this crowd understood what the dynamic was. And then afterward, when we were down on the field, I did the internal stroll around the field while these fans are there, just let it, again, wash all over us. And I'm not sure why I did it, but I felt I had to do it.
I feel like as much as fans and this team and organization wanted to host a playoff game here, this seemed most fitting, only
Yes.
because today could be just about this.
Yes.
If
Yes.
today was about, it's the last regular season game, but they're going to host next weekend, and maybe they'll host the weekend after that or the weekend after that, you can't truly make it only about the building.
Correct.
And you can bring everybody else in, but they're not going to sit in their seats and say, I'm never going to be here again. Mm-hmm. And that's what elevated the emotions. And as we were discussing before we started this, for me, it hit me after the game, just looking at everyone. And this entire 100 level, 200 level bowl was full of people longer than I have ever seen. Absolutely. And even into the 300 level, people just did not want to leave. They weren't being inappropriate. They weren't being rude. And the staff here was allowing them to have their moment. They did a really good job of that. They did not want to leave. And that's what hit me. We all know who Bill's Elvis is. He's right over here. I could see it through the glasses in his eyes. I got a little video of him, and it was heavy. It was heavy. Yeah. And he's one of thousands of people. He's more well known because of his outfit. He's one of thousands of people who are in here that have so many memories from sitting or standing in one particular place in here. And it's about the stuff that happened on the field, the comeback and the 51-3 and the Taron Johnson and Nyheim Hines. It's all that. But it's about the people next to them and that singular spot where they saw it all happen. And that's what you could just feel so heavy after this game.
And as you walked around and encountered people, you got these date checks, like everybody's telling you, feeling compelled to tell you, I've been a season ticket holder since fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. And most of the long-term ones were some of the ones I ran into. And then right at the very end, just as I was returning to the press box, there was a man and his daughter, and the guy was probably close to my age, but he said, you know, I've been a season ticket holder since, I don't remember the year, but pretty close to the earliest, you know, it might have been in the 40s, 30s or 40-year range. And his daughter spoke up and said, yeah, my dad used to take me to the game, but now I take him to the game. And you know, those are the moments. And it means something so special to people. Think about that. We're talking about a football team, a football stadium. And again, I know it's there's the given that the Bills are the biggest thing in Buffalo in so many ways. But I think that bonding agent that they have, that's what came rushing back to me too, is how special this is. I know the outcomes matter, and I know there'll be a whole different conversation if the wild card playoff game against Jacksonville goes a certain way. But right now, there is just a sense of love in the air.
Yeah, no, it felt like a celebration of life for this stadium, right? Not a mourning that it's gone, not a mourning of the new stadium opening next year, but people, again, just being able to be here and celebrate the memories that they had here. I think the opponent plays a factor, right? Like the Jets, a lowly team, offered no competition, not a whole lot riding on this game. So kind of to your point, people were really able to just focus and be here for the singular reason of sort of giving a send-off to the stadium the right way. And you hear the legend of the game, that was as loud as I've ever heard it since I've been here. Mr. Brightside, being able to play during the fourth quarter like they normally do, as opposed to after the game, right? Again, people just sort of soaking up those traditions. And even the players, Tre'davious White, walking off the field, and he stopped right about where we're standing right now, looking up at that board right there as the long tribute video played inside this stadium. And there weren't tears in his eyes, but there was emotion in his eyes. And you could see how much it was hitting him. And I think maybe for him, maybe more than even any other player, especially with the way he vocalized it afterwards, really grasping what this whole day and night was all about and everything. So again, going back to the point that we've made several times now, it was a night, a game that meant to a lot of people, not just the people in the stands, but the people on the sidelines and playing in the game as well.
The Bills won 35-8. Mitch Trubisky looked awesome. So anyone who's like, oh, I wonder how they are at backup quarterback, it was the Jets. We'll just put that caveat. But
That's
four
a big caveat.
4 touchdowns. Ray Davis over 150 yards rushing, which was a nice thing to see, and good for him because he's accepted the role as the kick returner and really been completely minimized outside of the running game. So it's good to see that you still have that second or third horse in the arsenal behind certainly James Cook being sensational. Injuries was the one thing that you wanted to avoid in this game, and the Bills were unable to do that, even with resting a lot of their key guys. Let's start with Matt Prater, because that's the most, you don't have anyone behind them, so now what do you do? Michael Badgley was released from the practice squad after missing some critical kicks, including one that probably cost them the Eagles game a week ago here. It's the right quad, the same injury he'd been dealing with. This week he'd said, hey, I don't recover like I did now that I'm in my 40s. We do not know the extent of things. I'm going to say, as we stand here right now Sunday night, we're probably not going to see Matt Prater next weekend in the wild card game. And when you're picking anyone up off the streets at this time of year, it's tough. I'm not going to ask for too deep. A lot of people are going to go directly to Justin Tucker. Your thoughts on that?
That would be a tough one, I think, to just sort of politically and every other way because of the off-field issue with Justin that led to, or at least contributed to, his departure from the Ravens, where he established himself as one of the greatest kickers in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. We know, I'm positive before this game was over, that the personnel department, Brandon Beane's guys, were working those phones. I'm sure Brandon was too. Were working the texts to agents and whatever to see what was going on. And my sense would be that this is going to be resolved. Has to be resolved within less than 24 hours. We'll know something tomorrow, I'm sure. But my thought on it is, yes, potentially it could lead to a severe problem for this team, because you know how close and competitive postseason games any game is, but you're talking about the playoffs, and you're talking about the vital nature of having everything buttoned down. And if this isn't buttoned down for them with someone who's just coming off the street, kickers do that, and sometimes it works out, but a lot of times it doesn't.
They did work out a couple extra kickers when they signed Badgley. I think Younghoe Koo was one of them. So they have options. That's why they work out at any position, multiple guys. So kind of they have in their back pocket to say, all right, down the line, this is what they look like. We'll see how that goes. Jacksonville's kicker made a 67-yarder today. So on the flip side of things, it really shortens the field for them, or extends the field, I should say, because they can get points from you don't know. You might see an even more aggressive Sean McDermott, because, hey, we're kind of on that tweener 35 and out range. We're going for it.
That's what I was going to say. It has the potential not just to impact where you feel comfortable kicking from, how confident you feel in them making it, but impact strategy where you're like, hey, instead of putting the ball in the hands or at the foot of this kicker that we just signed, we have 17 as our quarterback, and if it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, we just trust him more to go make that play. I mean, that was part of his reason for why they went for 2 at the end of that game, right? That they trust to put the ball in 17's hands and that he's going to go make the play to go win the game, right? So ideally, you would like to have a kicker that you trust in that situation, because how many times have we seen in playoff games a kicker comes through, game-winning field goal on the money, you know? So that's something that you would really like to have. I will say maybe the one silver lining in all of this is that if he was going to get injured, and again, his age plays a factor in this, muscular injuries are a whole different beast than bones, like a sprained ankle or something like that. A muscular injury is very tricky, right? So you'd almost rather have this happen in this game, where you can sign a kicker to then have him ready for the playoff game in Jacksonville, as opposed to maybe have held off Prater and then he gets injured in Jacksonville, and then you're down to no kickers, and you just have Mitch Wishnowsky hitting kickoffs, and then you really have no kicking option, right? So that's maybe the potential silver lining in this one for the Bills, but as we've noted, you're not really confident in any kickers that you're signing off the street at this point.
It's going to be tough. Oh, by the way, the Bills, for whatever reason, play the worst football outside of the New York Jets that I've ever seen, seemingly, when they play the Jaguars. 9-6, losing to Urban Meyer that disastrous year, and then certainly the wild card game after breaking the drought. That was also a low-scoring, tough offensive game. London, yes. Yeah. Not great. Jacksonville itself is a setting that has not treated the Bills very well. Another injury very, very late in the game was Max Hairston. Ankle injury, did not return. Don't know the extent at this point in time either. We know it's been a rotation with Tre'davious White. What sort of an impact, because they have two guys out there, is that one?
Oh, I think it could be significant just in terms of not of maybe leaning very heavily, let's say, on Tre'davious White, giving him more snaps than they'd likely prefer, because they were looking for that formula, that balance between the two of them and how many reps they get, and they were. I know Sean sort of reflected on the idea that, or I don't know, regretted, I guess is the word, but that they were out of the call-ups from the practice squad, so they were down to being forced to put Hairston out there when he was late in the game, and we don't know the extent of the injury. Sean said it was some sort of an ankle thing, but I guess we'll find out more about that. But yeah, that's a concern.
It brings up an interesting point, and there was a question that Sean was asked by Steve Tasker in the press conference on Friday about the potential for, in the future, if the NFL might change a rule to where teams are allowed to call up basically their entire practice squad for Week 18 games. And I thought about it in the context of this, because you can only deactivate so many guys, you can only call up so many guys. So it was in a position where, as much as you maybe don't want to have Max Hairston in there, he had to play. Someone has to play the cornerback position, someone has to play safety, someone has to play all of those positions. So it makes you wonder if, especially with Sean being on the competition committee, how this might impact potentially any sort of discussions as it relates to that Week 18 and allowing the full practice squad to be called up to hopefully avoid a situation like they had today with Max Hairston.
Really interesting things. We'll just go really quickly here. An initial thought on facing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, tough one. Not only the fact that it's on the road, and we can figure there'd be a decent representation of Bills fans in Florida places, although the quality of that Jacksonville team, I think, is going to promote the idea of more Jags fans supporting them. Liam Cohen, first-year head coach, doing an excellent job, the leading candidate, I think, for Coach of the Year. And what has he done? I think he's gotten the best that we've seen ever from Trevor Lawrence, and give Trevor credit for that. And that, that's where it starts. You need him to deliver, but it's the postseason, and that's a whole different animal than what Trevor has dealt with, and also solid defensively. So overall, this is a challenging task, but by no means one that the Bills can't handle.
I think the Bills are now in a situation where throughout the course of these AFC playoffs, they're going to go into these games, and even though they're going to be likely the road team, they have Josh Allen as the quarterback, and that should give them all the confidence in the world that they can go into a place and win that game. Now, does that mean that they're going to go and do it? Not necessarily. They have to go out and actually perform well. But just in terms of confidence and experience, the Bills should feel like they're in a good spot. They played relatively good football down the stretch of the season. I know they had the loss to the Eagles, but just some quality wins also going to New England and beating that Patriots team. So they have every reason to feel good about themselves, especially going to a place like Jacksonville, where we touched on the relative playoff inexperience of Trevor Lawrence. I think his only playoff win was that wild comeback against the Chargers, right? But this is his first playoff experience under Liam Cohen, right? So it feels sort of that even though the Jags have a recent playoff win, this still feels sort of like a new experience for this current version of the Jaguars team. This is not new for this current version of this Bills team. So if you bank a little bit on experience and think that plays a factor, you have to feel good about the Bills' chances going down to North Florida.
You bank on Josh Allen. That's what they did all season in games that probably 3-4 they had no business of winning.
Right.
And Josh Allen, among some other reasons, but he was the catalyst to catapult them to victory. And we've said it for weeks and months at this point with this Bills team. It's not about style points. It's simply about the results. That's obviously the objective in the postseason. So we will see how the Bills do when they head down to Jacksonville, where it's going to be upper 70s. So what, Jonathan? We're getting like a 60-degree boost for
Let's
us
go.
here.
Shorts
So,
and polos.
as we were watching the games unfold and seeing where we were going to go, no hating going down
Not the worst option,
in
guys.
January
Yeah.
whatsoever. With Jonathan Costa and Vic Carucci, I'm John Scott for Channel 2 Sports.